Soul Garden.
Good morning. I'm out light walking in Newport Beach, California, and this is your Wednesday Namaste Today. Good morning and namaste, and welcome to Namaste Today. My name is Christopher Oteki. I am a psychic astrologer and the Sensei to Serious Joy, here to stand in my heart and walk in the light. Such a pleasure to be of soul service to you. I'm out light walking in Newport Beach on the trails here on a kind of a reservoir, an ocean overspill reservoir where you can hike around. And there are tons of bugs out here, but I'm committed to get this show off the ground. And I'm so excited. I'm feeling much better. It's been a difficult transition. I have to say Virgo was really tough this year. It was a tough transit. I was heavy releasing, heavy purging. I finally feel myself. I'm finally in my heart. I had a lot of breakthroughs, even in the last 24 hours, as we were being tested on integrity. And it really was a test of integrity in the last 24 hours to maintain what was important, etc., etc. Well, today we move into Libra. We're in step 0 Libra, and 0 is my hero for lots of reasons. In fact, if you haven't already discovered my blogs on the 11 Steps of Serious Joy, I've written up to 3, up to step 3. But step 0 is definitely a step you should read up on. Today we're in step 0. This is a very important moment. In fact, today is going to be kind of a weird moment. There's going to be a moment, and everyone in my WTExt network, I'm going to send out a WTExt about 10 minutes before this happens, but there's a double 0 moment. The sun is at 0 and the moon is at 0. Now, that doesn't always happen. It's kind of a dead quiet moment. And I'm going to say right now, I want to put prayers out to everyone because weird stuff can happen in moments like that, weird accidents. It's kind of a weird twilight zone where both our hearts and our emotions go cold for a second. It's certainly a time to meditate and log in. And I will put out a text out there and try to put something on Twitter as well around that time for the people. But it's going to be a transition day. We're finally moving into Libra, and Libra is a big deal this year. That's why I'm wearing a mirage band right here, because I think everyone is getting a new mirage. I know that a lot of the clearing I did in the last few days, in the last week, really heavy clearing, was all about I wasn't going to bring that baggage to the new mirage. I wasn't going to bring all of that past and the sorrow and all the things, in some cases, things I was hiding from myself. I think just as trying to be a sensei to joy, I was keeping it from myself. I mean, I can go into that for a long time. If you want to do a dissertation on hiding stuff from thyself, that was a part of the Saturn in Scorpio, realizing still there were chambers to my heart I hadn't recognized. But now that I have addressed all that and really put that into healing, into a good healing direction that I know will work because I do this for a living, you know what I mean? I can approach myself differently. Me and me, you and you, I mean, this is the conversation it's time to have now with yourself in the mirror, because I think we're all doing a new mirage. The Mercury retrograde each day is kind of asking a question of us, and if you're in my WTExt network, I'm also sending you questions that the Mercury retrograde asks. It comes around 1 p.m. your local time, and so these are questions to ask yourself about how you want to be treated, where you feel like you belong, and is it coming from a fight or flight perspective? Are you the victim? Are you the wounded one? It's like, and I think when we heal these things, they no longer are part of where we belong. We don't identify with them anymore, and our relationship to ourselves changes. Now, what's so profound about Libra energy, or is also step 6, okay, which is also Venus, the giving and receiving energy, and Libras are amazing at giving and receiving. If you know a good Libra, snuggle up to them. You know what I mean? Like, they really are so good at just being so like perfect sometimes as the way they kind of approach you. And it's because they really get off on mastering that balance of that Venus energy. Well, in the essence of being a human, that balance mastery is with yourself. And we live actually in a binary star system. That's a whole nother topic to go on for forever. The bugs are eating me alive, so forgive me. That's a whole nother topic to go on forever, the binary star system. But the point is that we manifest from a binary perspective, not a singular perspective. So there's always 2 versions of us that we manifest from. The first version is our heart's truth. The second version of us is our impression of our heart's truth, which is the first manifestation of our life, which is what step 11 is. Step 11 Virgo, which is reality, is, okay, you've got yourself and you've got your impression of yourself. And that becomes your rising sign, and that becomes your personality, is your impression of yourself. So when we go into Libra, particularly these early degrees and where Mercury is retrograding back and forward again, we're asking ourselves, well, how do we relate to ourselves in the mirror? You know, and I think that this is where like Disney tales and things are really good to come up with like a fable for yourself or a fairy tale for yourself that kind of represents yourself. A lot of my clients that I read have Cinderella stuff. Like they're the Cinderella sister, and there's someone that they're under, you know, and I'm always like, okay, it's time for you to be a fairy godmother to yourself. And you want to turn that around and become a fairy godmother to yourself and change that mirage. What's that mirage perspective? So I think we're all going to change our mirage perspective, and I think it comes from the fact that we expanded our heart and emptied our emotional stuff, and Jupiter's in Virgo, so it's a new reality, and just also some other signs in the planets that have been pointing to it. Like we've had the North Node in the early Libra degrees forever now. Black Lilith is skating through that area. So it's like the universe is saying it's all about how we are going to, what's the deal going to be with ourself? And I say it's a new deal with ourself. And for myself, so true. I mean, I've had some phenomenal breakthroughs into understanding my heart and realizing really where I abandoned myself. Yeah, and I think I did it just because it was a way of motivating myself. I don't know. Like as I pull apart, like kind of where I was tricking myself at the very deepest core here when Saturn hit the bone at step 29 Scorpio. It was like, I think at the end of the day, I've been mean to myself because it got me to work harder. I know that sounds crazy, right? And it's like, oh, once I realized, I was like, oh, sweetie, you know, like you don't have to do that to yourself, you know? So it's that kind of realizations of the mirage. And I think this is just the beginning of us unraveling kind of like the way we have treated ourselves for so long and why. And then as Mercury goes direct after October 10th, I believe, we will then start to think forward with the new mirage and the new mirage vows. Right now, we are unraveling the old mirage. And so without further ado, I think I should log into my guides and see what they have to say. Incidentally, I didn't say it officially, but today's topic is step 0 and our mirage. Okay, drawing the boundaries. So let's move into the topic, into the guides. Excuse me. Okay, it took a second. Jupiter, they pull me right into Jupiter. It's kind of interesting. So today, we're actually, you know, we are beginning a new mirage with ourselves, and Jupiter is at step 9, which means we're at the same point of moving forward with the new reality, as I like to put it. And so they're dynamically hooked. So I guess the point of what the Jupiter point is like today in this step 0 energy, the direction you kind of go is continuing forward with what you do know in hardcore reality. I think we're all going to be floating a little bit, especially in the step 0 energy, and especially in the first 4 days of this transit. In fact, the lunar eclipse that's coming up is at step 4, which means there could be some profound breakdowns for some people, some relationships, some situations. So it's a dangerous eclipse, this lunar eclipse, I will say that. For people who are out of touch with themselves, it's a very dangerous eclipse. So today, it's like we want to kind of get our bearings. It's going to be a little murky in the next few days, and they're saying just focus on like the details of life you've already committed to and thought through, and allow the rest of yourself to kind of be up in the air. So there's like a triple whammy is what they just showed me. Oh my God, I didn't even think about that. But Saturn is also at step 0. So at 11:33 a.m. Pacific time, and that's what, 2:30 Eastern time, we're going to have like a quadruple 0 moment, actually 4, the part of fortune is 0. So this is a moment where we might want to say some prayers for the Pope. There's been a lot of weird, there's bugs everywhere. There's been a lot of weird stuff about the Pope's safety. And so psychically I've been like, that's kind of funky, you know, like let's all protect the Pope. Let's not manifest something. But truth is around that time, there's going to be a lot of 0 energy. So in that moment, you want to just kind of stay forward. Again, I'll put out a text. I'll put some stuff on Facebook for people. But in essence, what it is like drawing some boundaries. It may be that at that moment you're signing your divorce, or it's like at that moment, you know, like you're signing the, you know, the new mortgage to the house, or the refinancing, or something really fundamental and cool. So it's not necessarily negative, but I would say that this quadruple 0 moment today is certainly a turn. It's a big, big turn, and people will know it, and they'll know that it's a new day. If anything, they're showing me too, there's a lot of like, that's true, there's a lot of unveiling going on. So this is just coming cyclically without planets. They're showing me that the Volkswagen scandal, you know, where this manufacturer has been uncovered for, you know, like deliberately using technology to skirt around the government. This just pop the seal. They've shown me that like there's going to be a lot of corporate truths coming out. More than anything, it feels like it's more corporate than it is like governmental. So this like quadruple zero may be like a weird Edward Snowden sort of moment where we learn something that comes from the other side. And so there's a lot of information coming forward now. The universe really wants human beings to make up their own minds and their own beliefs about things. So what's going to happen is there's going to be the release of information. There's a release of truth. And how you know it's true is that your heart's like, wow, that seems true. Your heart will tell you. And the reason why it is true is because it's true to your story. It's true to what you believe. So it's part of your reality, right? So when it rings true to your heart, it is true to you. It's true to the story you want to play. It's true to the film that you're in here, live action on Earth in carbon-based form. And so it's worth paying attention to. So yes, and then they're also telling me that it's also, again, the heart, they pull me all to Mars. Mars is at step 29 of Leo. So, in this weird, quiet moment, we're still kind of making the last final go for it when it comes to our heart. So it's like, this isn't a day, the next 24 hours, it's like, don't let yourself down. You're about to do a Mirage transit. So it's like, if you promised yourself you would go talk to him, or you go talk to her, or you would have this thing, or if you made a promise to yourself, like, this is the time you don't want to let yourself down, because in this Mirage transit and the Mercury retrograde, it's going to be very painfully obvious to let yourself down. And I have found, that's what hurts me the most. What hurts me the most is when I've let myself down. That's what breaks my heart the most. That's what I cry over the most, because that's what I don't want to do. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't mean to. So. But we fall into it. So we learn. But in essence, it is time to, in this crazy zero day. The last thing I'll say about zero, and I say this if you get a reading with me, is like, people have a lot of zeros in their chart. It's a magical number, okay? Like, for one, it's a day of reflection. So the magic mirror kind of in Disney films and stuff, that's the zero. It's like a magic mirror. So people project their own issues onto other people during the zero. People see their lives on celebrities. People identify with something way out there. It's a day where you see a lot of truths in the magic mirror, and then you kind of go back to reality when we hit step 1, 24 hours later. And when you do go back to reality, it's kind of like, did everyone see that? And then no one saw it. They're all tied up in their stuff, So, that's the one thing. It's all about you. But long story short, the step 0 is about seeing some truths, but staying on track with what your heart wants. In some ways, in this hall of mirrors, I guess is the way to put it, your final challenge with Mars step 29 Leo is to still stay in integrity with what your heart wants. All right? So by listening to your heart in the smallest degree, and this is what I was getting to that I lost, don't pass up on an opportunity to be there for yourself today. Because in some ways, people are being tested on the final steps of being there for their heart. And that's step 11, and that's to do with integrity, which we've seen really in the last 24 hours. I think it's interesting that Volkswagen scandal came out during the integrity final test. Very interesting stuff. And with Jupiter in Virgo, it's going to be all about integrity for a full year. So the good news is those who do their homework are going to get noticed this year, and those who don't are going to get noticed. And that's cool for those of us who've been trying so hard. Okay, I'm getting eaten alive. I gotta go. I will see you guys in 24 hours with more, probably from a less buggy place. Bugs aren't even that common in LA, so leave it to me to find the nature. But I'll see you in 24. Stay in your hearts. Remember, stay on your heart path as things get weird in the step 0. And thank you for all the comments and the shares, by the way. I really appreciate that. See you in 24. Live, love, be.
So